Up to this point, we have learned PHP concepts mostly one at a time. We have worked with variables, HTML forms, numbers, strings, control structures, and arrays. In this chapter, we are going to begin combining some of those skills so that our PHP pages start working together as a small web application. We will learn how to reuse common parts of a website, how to create constants, how to process an HTML form on the same PHP page that displays the form, how to keep previously entered value visible after the form has been submitted, and how to redirect a user to another page after successfully processing. The textbook for this course is PHP for the Web 5th edition. The concepts in this chapter are still useful, but some of the code in HTML were written using older practices. As we work through the chapter, I will show you the original idea and then the updated PHP and HTML patterns that we will use in this course. For this chapter, we are going to use several of the actual Chapter 8 exercise files from the textbook as our starting point. These include pages such as index.php, books.php, login.php, register.php, and the files used to create the shared page layout. We are not going to throw away the textbook examples because they demonstrate some important PHP concepts. Instead, we will update them. For example, the textbook stores reusable page sections in a folder named Templates. In our updated project, I've already updated the folder name to be called Includes. The name Includes is not required by PHP. It is simply the naming convention we are going to use in this class because that folder contains files that PHP will include or require. We will also update the HTML and update the PHP syntax where appropriate. The goal is to understand the textbook concepts while writing clear, current code. Here's what we will cover in Chapter 8. First, we will learn how to reuse shared sections of a website. For example, several pages may use the same header, navigation menu, and footer. Next, we will learn about constants. Constants allow us to give a name to a value that should not change while the script is running. Then we will return to HTML forms and create a PHP page that can both display a form and process the information submitted from that form. We will also learn how to keep appropriate form values visible after submission. This is often called making a form sticky. Finally, we will learn how PHP's header function can redirect a user to another page after successful processing. The larger goal is to begin seeing these PHP files as pieces of one web application rather than unrelated individual exercises. Let's begin with the idea of a web page template. Most websites contain sections that appear on many pages. For example, the header may remain the same. The navigation menu may remain the same. The footer may also remain the same. However, the main content usually changes from page to page. A web page template allows us to reuse shared page content so that our website is easier to build and maintain. Suppose our website contains 5 pages and every page uses the same navigation menu. We could copy and paste the navigation into all 5 files. But if we later add another link to the navigation, we would have to make that same change 5 times. A better approach is to create the navigation once and reuse it. PHP gives us a way to do that. Before we use PHP, let's look at the structure of the HTML page that begins this chapter. The updated template.html file contains a header, navigation, main content, and a footer. These are semantic HTML elements. The header and navigation are likely to appear on many pages. The footer may also appear on every page. The main element contains the information that is specific to the current page. For example, the home page may contain information about J.D. Salinger. The books page contains its bibliography. A login page contains a login form. The registration page contains a registration form. So even though the main content changes, the surrounding structure may remain the same. That is where reusable page files become useful. This slide helps us identify which parts of the HTML code could be reused. At the top, we have our shared header and navigation. This content may be the same on several pages. Then we have our page-specific section, which is the main element. Inside the main is the page-specific content. For example, the index.php file may contain an H2 that says, "Welcome to the J.D. Salinger Fan Club," while the books.php file may say, for the H2 heading element, J.D. Salinger's books. At the bottom of the document, we have our footer. The footer is another section that can be reused. So before we write any PHP, we are simply deciding what is shared and what is unique to this page. The header and footer are shared, and the content between them changes. Now that we have identified the repeated parts of the website, PHP gives us two language constructs that allow us to reuse those files. They are include and require. The textbook explains that these statements take the code from another file and place it into the current page. That is a useful way to picture what the finished page looks like. Technically, however, PHP is not permanently copying one file into another. A more accurate explanation is PHP includes and evaluates the specified file at that location while the script is running. For example, we have the book example, which uses the include, and inside of the parentheses, we have this folder. This folder has been renamed to be called includes. And then we have the header and then .html. But the updated course pattern is going to be require. There's not going to be any parentheses. It's going to be in an includes folder, and we're going to use the header, same file, but we're going to use the .php extension. The browser does not see these require statements. The browser receives the completed HTML that PHP produces. It gives us the flexibility to place PHP inside those files. And finally, we're not putting any parentheses around the file name. Keeping one consistent syntax will make the examples easier to read and troubleshoot. Now let's look at the difference between include and require. Both load another file, but they behave differently. Suppose we write include in quotation marks special-offer.php. If PHP cannot load that file, PHP generates a warning, but the rest of the script may continue. That can make sense if the file contains something optional. Now let's consider the require. If PHP cannot load a required file, the script stops. That makes sense for something important, such as our page header. A simple way to remember the difference is to think about the word require. If the page requires that file in order to work properly, use require. PHP also provides require once. Require once tells PHP that the file is required, but that it should only be loaded one time. This is especially useful for files containing functions, classes, or configuration information. For our simple header and footer examples, we can use the require. Use require when the page depends on the file. Use include when the file is optional. And use require once when a required file should only be loaded one time. The older lesson suggested that files containing only HTML should use an .html extension in order to save server resources. We are not going to use that as a rule in this class. Instead, our reusable PHP application file will end in the .php extension. Using the .php extension consistently for the reusable files gives us flexibility to add PHP to them when needed. Now let's see how these separate files work together. Our project may contain an index.php, books.php, login.php, register.php, and a welcome.php. There'll be an includes folder, and inside of that will be a header.php and a footer.php. And then there'll be a CSS folder, and then inside of that will be styles.css. The header.php file contains the beginning of the HTML document, including the head, the site header, the navigation, and the opening main element with a class of site content. And then an individual page supplies its own content. For example, books.php contains an H2 heading element with J.D. Salinger's books. At the bottom of the page, we load the require includes /footer.php file. The footer.php file begins by ending the page-specific section and closing the main. It then displays the footer and closes the HTML document. The footer can even use a small amount of PHP. The date function is a built-in PHP function. The uppercase Y tells PHP to return the current 4-digit year. So even though the page is built from several files, the browser ultimately receives one complete HTML document. Now, let's introduce another PHP concept that works very well with our reusable files, constants. The word const is short for constant. The constant is a PHP keyword that tells PHP that we are creating a name value that should not change after it has been declared. For example, the constant tells PHP that we are creating a constant. The page underscore title is the name of the constant. Notice that the page underscore title is written in uppercase letters and the two words are separated by an underscore. Constants are commonly written using uppercase letters, and underscores are commonly used to separate the words. The naming style makes constants easy to recognize when we read the code. The uppercase letters and underscores are a standard naming convention rather than something PHP requires for every constant name. After the constant, we have the equal followed by the value, which in this case is login. Constants are different from variables because they do not begin with a $sign. Once a constant has been declared, we do not assign a different value to that constant. The textbook uses another current way to create a constant. The define function is still valid PHP. However, for our simple examples, we will primarily use constant example on the right-hand side. Now let's look at a practical reason for using a constant. In our updated welcome.php file, we can begin with our constant, our page underscore title, and then welcome to the J.D. Salinger fan club. Then we load our shared header using require, the includes folder followed by a /header.php. The important idea is that the page title is created before the header PHP is loaded. That means the shared header can use the value of page title. Inside the header.php, the title element can contain the title and then the short PHP of an echo statement. Inside of here, we're using the HTML special chars function, and we also pass that value through the HTML special chars function before it is placed into the HTML. You have seen the HTML special chars function in earlier chapters. It converts characters that have special meaning in HTML so that they can be safely displayed. When welcome.php runs, PHP first creates the page title with the value welcome to the J.D. Salinger fan club. Then PHP will load our header.php, and this will be the title for the browser tab for that page. So if I go back and show you this, this is the welcome PHP page. Up here is the title for the browser, so the browser tab. If we go to the books.php file, notice that the browser tab says Books by J.D. Salinger. We did not have to create a different header for every page. Each page defines its own page title, and the same reusable header.php file displays that value. This is a good example of how constants and include files can work together to make a PHP application easier to organize and maintain. In this tutorial, we learned how PHP can help us organize a website into reusable pieces. We start with a complete HTML template, identify the sections that could be shared across several pages, and then used require to load reusable header and footer files. We also introduced constants and saw how a page can define its own page title before loading the shared header. This allows several PHP pages to use the same layout without still displaying page-specific information. These techniques reduce repeated code and make a web application easier to update, read, and maintain. Thanks for watching.